Hi there. I'm getting ready to do my last batch of winter sowing, so I thought I would share just a couple more tips, tricks, well, they're not tricks, tips and reminders. Let me turn this. First thing is when you prepare your soil, and again you want to use a good quality potting soil, not seed starter. Seed starting mix is going to dry out too quickly. And so you want a good quality potting mix. You don't want garden, like dirt that you would just dig up from your yard or a garden, because that'll compact too much. So this is kind of in between. And you do want to get it fairly wet. You want it to be, I've heard the description brownie batter, so that it holds together and is almost drippy. So this right here, where you can see, that really is very clumpy. That chunk right there is about right. And in fact, what I've been using to kind of eyeball is once I put the dirt in my containers, I'm looking to see, am I getting a little bit of water in the tray that I'm keeping them in while I've filled them up and getting ready to put the seeds on. That lets me know that the soil is fully damp, fully wet enough to start off with, and it tells me that there's decent drainage. And so talking about containers, I just want to remind you that you don't have to use milk jugs. That's not the only option. I'm actually going to use some leftover plant cans from when I have bought plants. These ones are a little sturdier. These ones are thinner, but I did use both of these last year. You can see they've got numbers written on them. And so these will be just fine. Now what I do, because you do want it to have some kind of cover, is I bought some small clear trash bags off of Amazon, and I just kind of lay them over the top. I open it up so that it covers the whole top. Then I put duct tape around. I make sure it's good and pulled tight. And then I poke a bunch of holes. I make sure that some of the holes are also a little bit bigger. And then I'll just need to watch to see that this does not get ripped too much or torn off with wind, or if an animal messes with it. There are a couple of, like, I don't know if there's somebody's barn cats or something that kind of hang out nearby. So I want to make sure that, you know, I'll have to check that every so often, but that should allow moisture to get in, light to get in, and airflow. But will also help trap in some of the moisture and a little bit of the warmth as the weather might get a little warmer, and we want that. I've got 4 last types of seeds that I'm going to be planting today. And sorry about that, was not a good angle. So I've got some bleeding heart, which I've never done from seed before. I've got some guiam. I think that's how you pronounce it. I did grow some of this last year in the winter sowing method, and I did get at least 1 plant. I'm going to try that again and see if I can get better results. And I've got 2 different kinds of heuchera. This is Firefly, and this is called Melting Fire. And this year I'm doing a lot of the things that I'm putting out for winter sowing, unless I know I had really good results last year. I'm also doing about half of each packet indoors when the time would be right. So I've looked up for all of my seeds what would be the number of weeks before the last frost that you would want to start them inside, and I'm saving half of each packet to do that when the time is appropriate. I'm also have looked to see if it suggests they might need some cold stratification, which just means what would happen normally in nature, that when the seed falls to the ground from the seed head in the fall or winter time, and then goes through some freezing and thawing cycles to kind of bust open the seed and let it know that it's time to germinate. So for those seeds that might need that, I'm putting them in the refrigerator for however long we have until it's time for them to be started. I don't know if I'm getting all of that timing right, but I figure it won't hurt, and it definitely might help. So also, one other reminder is make sure you are getting enough dirt in your containers over the course of the winter. As it rains or snows, that dirt is going to settle more, although I do tend to try to kind of get it mashed down a little bit, but not compacted. That will help ensure that your moisture stays appropriate, and it will help with the roots being able to have enough room to grow. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be filling these up with about 4 inches of soil. Then I'm going to sprinkle my seeds on top. I do add a little bit of vermiculite across the top. I believe that this is something I've learned from someone on YouTube who has a channel that's just fantastic, Garden Answer. Laura is so knowledgeable, and she always puts a layer of vermiculite on top of whatever she's starting inside, and it helps regulate moisture, and I think it can also help maybe a little bit with containing the potential for algae that sometimes grows when you've got things that keep kind of a dampness to them over a longer period of time. So I do that. The other thing I do to help out, I think I've already mentioned, is I put a coffee filter in the bottom. That just helps a little bit to provide a bit of a barrier for things like slugs, to discourage them from crawling up into the inside of the container and possibly destroying the hard work that we've done between me and nature. So I'm going to go ahead and get these together, get them put outside. And thanks for joining me here today in Aunt Susan's garden. Happy planting if you're doing this.